Hello, good morning, and welcome. Oh, would help if I bring my mic a bit closer. Hello, and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Monday, the 15th of December, 2025. So I'll just move our little man close to the ground there, Alan Rickman. Yeah, shit news over the weekend. Shit news this morning, as we find out that Rob Reiner, the acclaimed director, and his wife were murdered in their home, and it looks like they were trigger warning. Sorry, they were murdered by their own son. Really grim news. I want to wake up to some good news for a change. Like, I don't know, someone I don't like has shot themselves to death. But that doesn't seem to be the case at the moment. We're on the Biff timeline, and things are a bit shit. But at least we've got each other. At least we've got our wonderful socialites here in the chat. Big shout out to Liz and Liam and Sid. Big shout out to One Angry Pagan and Viper Scott, and also to Saz and SG. And Andy in there as well. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat there, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 60 seconds and you'll be able to join in. But don't be a troll or we will mute you and boot you. Although I say boot you, we'll just mute you so you'll be able to watch. We just won't be able to comment anymore. So what's the point? This is a bit of a two-way conversation that we like to have on this channel. So today, I just want to pull attention away slightly from the events in Australia. I don't really know what to say about that, except it's an absolute fucking disgrace. It's horrific. It's horrifying. And as I said yesterday on the Sunday sermon, if you don't want to be fucked up for life, please try and stay off social media at the moment, especially if you're on Instagram or X or TikTok. I'd just spend a few days off it if I were you, or maybe just stick to your For You feed, to your friends feed rather than your For You feed, so you just see the things that you want to see. Yeah, and also this story coming from America about one of the best directors in Hollywood history. This is the guy who made Misery, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, some of our favourite films of all time. And, just no way to go. No way to go. So today, but I want to talk about British politics. I want to bring the focus of attention over here. Oh, hang on. Martin Harris says, Graham, do you remember that kid from Waterloo who murdered his parents, then went on holiday with his girlfriend? My partner taught him in primary school. Jesus Christ. Guys, yesterday I went to the cinema and watched a Christmas concert of Christina Aguilera in Paris. Amazing show, magical and elegant. I recommend it 100%. That's cool. Cheers for that, David. And Chris C says, right, I'm back. Good to have you back, Chris. So yeah, today I want to talk about British politics. Particularly, I want to talk about the threat of Nigel Farage. I keep saying this, right? Calling Nigel Farage and think a racist and thinking that's going to lose him any support is like saying that Mo Salah scores goals and then we should stop supporting him. Liverpool supporters should stop supporting Mo Salah because he scores goals. There are other reasons why, he's not getting on with the manager or whatever. So maybe that's the reason why you might say that you should stop following him. But telling their fanboys exactly what they want to hear is not a way to stop a demagogue like Farage or like Trump, as we saw with Trump. Far-right populists do not fail because they're racist. They do not fail because they sexually abuse women. They do not fail because their ideas are bad. None of those reasons are reasons why they fail. They succeed despite all those things. Yeah? They succeed because institutions refuse to confront them as the threats that they are. And Trump proved this in the US, time and time again. And Britain is now repeating the same institutional mistakes with Farage. Labour are doing this stupid fucking thing where on one hand they're saying, oh, well, you know, people will feel the difference. They'll feel the difference. Everyone will feel it. No, they fucking won't. No, they won't. They will not feel the difference. I swear to you, they will not feel the difference. It would help if you told them that good things are happening, which Labour doesn't. It just comes out like fucking Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh going, oh, fucking doom and gloom. Doom and fucking gloom. And Nigel Farage seems to offer people an alternative. And they like it. They like that he was anti-Semitic in school. They like that he was racist in school because they were. And what his anti-Semitism, what his racism does is it allows them to be more open with their anti-Semitism, with their racism, with their xenophobia. That's what it does. His Brexit allowed the racists to come out the woodwork. The people who stay up at night dreaming, fantasizing about putting flags up on every lamppost and bringing down the house prices by 10% in the area. They're given the go-ahead. Farage gives them the go-ahead. So the danger here isn't just the individual, be it Trump or Farage or Erdogan or Orban or Le Pen or Bolsonaro or what that gobshite who's just won in Chile over the weekend. No, it's the normalisation process. And this is how it works. Nigel Farage comes out all guns blazing and says, oh, that was a horrible question when you questioned me about being racist. So we've all done silly things in the past, and does not apologise. And to the people on the left, they go, oh my God, he won't apologise. If I show everyone, I go up to people's doors, I knock on the door, and I open the door, and I show them a picture of Nigel Farage not apologising for being a racist, and that'll be it, you know. They won't like him anymore. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And while people on the left will never forgive one single transgression that happened 17 years ago by one of their side, the right will forgive anything. Anything. You can't think of a crime that the right won't make excuses for if their favourite person is doing it. Because here's the secret to the right. They'd like to do it themselves. One of those right-wingers gets done for domestic violence. They don't lose any support from their base. They don't. Because their base would like to do that themselves if they could get away with it. Many of them do it themselves. Maybe they don't get away with it, but they do it. This is why you'll see people out on the streets protecting our women and girls from asylum seekers. You never see them on the streets protecting them from right-wing politicians, do you? Eh? Which statistically, pound for pound, are much more of a threat to women and girls in this country. But in 2015, 2016, the US media treated Trump like a novelty act. They do the same with Farage in this country. Endless panels saying that he'll collapse any moment, and free airtime on all of the channels because he was good for ratings. Does that sound familiar? It fucking should, because that's the way that we treat Farage. It's good for ratings. No serious no scrutiny, especially in those early stages of authoritarian intent, and institutions just assuming that the guardrails will hold. The guardrails aren't holding. There are people in masks going around arresting people, beating the shit out of women and children for being brown in America right now. US citizens being attacked. People who have lived in America all their lives being deported to countries they don't know. US veterans, people who have fought for America but happen to pop out of their mum in a different part of the world, being deported to that different part of the world that they haven't lived in since they were 7 years old. And in the UK, Nigel Farage is framed as this outsider who's, the outside to politics. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. The man is not, he's a rat to start with, but secondly, and most importantly, he is part of the institution. He is an old Tory. He went to private school. He worked in the City of London, and then he became a career politician. He jumped on the EU gravy train that he likes to whinge about, which he now enjoys a £70,000 a year pension from for doing nothing. For doing nothing. He's treated as an electoral irritant rather than a systemic threat. And they did exactly the same thing in America. They treated him as Trump as an irritant. They didn't take him on as a domestic terrorist. And that's what they are. Because they are terrorizing our nation, our nations. And that's the way they should be treated. The surge in the polls, Trump, the surge in the polls for Farage are treated as protest votes. They're not. They're not. There are people who genuinely want Nigel Farage to be our next Prime Minister. Until we wake the fuck up and get together and stop that, it's going to fucking happen. And it's all very well and good for people who, I guess, have the facility, the money, the acuity to be able to leave the country, I guess. But for the rest of us who are stuck here, no matter what, we're fucked if he gets in. We are fucked. Because it's not just that he's going to go after minorities. It's not that he's just going to make being trans illegal in this country, which is something that he will do. And don't say, oh, but he won't go that far. You've seen what Trump's done. You've seen what Trump's done in America. He has made it so that if a girl is sexually assaulted by her own father and gets pregnant at the age of 11, she cannot have an abortion, even if the baby is dead inside her. Even if the fetus is dead, she can't have an abortion, and they can't even recommend where she can go to have an abortion in about 26 of the 50 states of America. Trump did that by putting his fucking cronies in the Supreme Court. Don't say it won't happen. Don't. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Stop it, please. Stop looking at it like that. Nigel Farage is a threat to national security and should be treated as such. I don't give a fuck if the newspapers turn against Starmer. And do you think they don't hate him already? Well, they're going to hate him even more. There's only one newspaper headline they can run each day on each paper. They give him all this shit for having a fucking beer. They give him all this shit for, I don't know, having a fucking donkey sanctuary to his mum. Who gives a shit? They're going to give him shit anyway. Just come out all guns blazing and say that this man is a national fucking security threat because he's working with the fucking Russians. And fucking prove it. Seems a bit odd that all these people around Farage keep getting done for being fucking traitors, for taking money from foreign adversaries to take down the British state. People like Elon Musk, whose stated motivation is to take down the British state, to destroy our country as we know it, and install what I was talking about yesterday, techno-feudalism. That's what they fucking want. And I'm sick and tired of people going, oh, Nigel, he's a lovely bloke, isn't he? Oh, he just says what he thinks. No, he doesn't. He says what he's told to fucking say by the fucking Kremlin. That's not what he thinks. We don't know what he thinks. The guy's a fucking puppet. He always has been. He thinks he should have more money and more money and more money. He thinks he should have a Coutts bank account. That's what he thinks. That's as far as his fucking imagination fucking goes. Money, money, money. That's it. He's a fucking dickhead. And yet people are just like, oh my God, he's wonderful. And then people on our side are saying, oh, but he's a racist. And thinking that that's going to stop him. That's going to make him, tank in the polls. It won't. It won't. I guarantee it won't. Because the right forgive their lot anything. The left forgive their lot nothing. Nothing. There's no forgiveness on the left. You did this thing, Mama. Still got people to this day wanging on about the Lib Dems being in cahoots with the Tories, bringing in austerity. I'll never vote for them. Completely different lot now, but who cares? You know, they are the party to vote for to stop Farage fucking getting these seats. Then vote for the fucking Lib Dems. I don't give a fuck. Oh, but the SNP want to do this thing, and then they wanted to let a porno cinema exist in the same city as a school or something. I don't fucking know. I don't care. I really don't care. My MO at the moment is making sure that Nigel Farage doesn't become our next Prime Minister. And I could do with a little help from that, in that, respect. Not just from Labour, who could just actually do things better, communicate things better, and actually make things better for people, and then tell them, here, look at this better thing that we've done. And go after the fucking media. Go after social media. Make what was it, $1.2 billion worth of dollars, 1.2 billion views of anti-Labour bot content. Anti-Labour bot content, 1.2 billion fucking views on YouTube, was it? Was that the story in the fucking the Guardian the other day? What's Labour doing about it? Fuck all. Oh, it's all right, we'll prove them wrong. I'll prove you all wrong. Fuck off. Fucking put some regulations in there to stop this from happening. You've only got a 150-seat majority. You're only the fucking government. Hey, Starmer, you're only the Prime Minister. If only there was something you could do about it, you fucking can. And you should. You absolutely should. And they're saying, oh, but Trump will go after... I mean, fucking hell. Trump will go after fucking anyone. He's already said that he doesn't want Labour being in charge in this country. After all this bullshit of like, oh, he's the leader of Britain. I like him, I think. I don't know who he is because I got fucking dementia. If they start kicking off in America, just fly over there and give fucking Trump a golden ball, a pair of golden balls on a little fucking plaque that says you're the best. Go on, give him that. Get it 50 quid from fucking Ratners. Just get some plastic fucking balls. Spray paint them fucking gold and give them to the twat. And he'll forget about the fucking... the other one to me. He'll forget about the tariffs. He'll forget about the tariffs. They'll forget them like that. So, Umka, thank you very much for the super chat. That's very kind of you. First super chat of the week. €10. Before internet opinions reaching public were curated and censored, public never had any strong critical thinking abilities. Internet made it simple for any moron to sound credible as an expert. Yeah, like me. Thanks, Umka. Yeah, I agree. And then Umka for another €5. Thank you very much. Simple-minded people like simple solutions. Even if any simple solution is wrong 99% of the time, that is also true. And Ms. Paula Thomas, the other thing is that a threat to our national security is the US national security strategy. It promotes fromage. Yes, it does. It does, Ms. Paula Thomas. Exactly. Yeah. And then we've got Katrina Tam there, who's been a member for 11 months. Oh, thank you. You're the best. And Katrina Tam says, hi, everyone. Finally made a live stream again. Oh, nice to have you, Katrina, on board this morning. Okay, so I'm going to set goals. I should have done this at the start. All the colours. Let's give an hour to it. 1 hour. Bags of time. And we will celebrate with confetti. I hope you join us for Stateside tonight here on Politics Social, because we have got Scott with us, Scott Williams, our resident American, and it's his birthday today. It's his birthday. Just don't ask how old he is, but it is his birthday today. So come along tonight at 9:00 for the Politics Social Stateside show, or Trump Watch, as it sometimes gets called. Okay, so there's an assumption with Labour and with the Greens and with the Lib Dems and with Plaid Cymru and with the SNP. There seems to be this tacit acceptance of this idea that the population will come to their senses. Stop it. Stop thinking that. You need to do more. You can't wage a war via passive aggression. Okay? You need to win a war with aggression. We should be going after Farage. There should be calls to go after Farage. There should be calls, and I completely disagree with Phil on this one. I know we argued about it last week, the week before, about there should be a proper investigation into Russia. I don't give a fuck if it takes fucking years. I don't care, because what's going to happen is you will have hearings in the House of Commons. They will sit down in one of those rooms, like the select committee rooms, and they will go through the evidence, and that will be televised. Do it. Fucking do it. Give loads more money to the National Crime Agency and say, look, this is to look into this kind of stuff. They're bringing together MI5, MI6, and GCHQ and the other fucking security things. So there's not all these despondent little parts of it. They're bringing them all together, apparently. I don't know how that's all going to work. But yeah, fine. Bring it all together. Because a national threat is an international threat, and an international threat is a national threat. Okay, let's do it. Bring it all together. Who's the biggest threat right now to our way of being, to our culture, to our democracy, to our economy? Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia all day long. Go after Russia. And number 2 on that list should be Saudi fucking Arabia. 2 authoritarian fucking states, Russia and Saudi Arabia. Look at them. Keep your eyes focused on them. Because they're the ones stirring the shit. They're the ones causing the problems in our communities, because they're the ones on the internet paying for all the fucking bots to talk bollocks. Saudi Arabia lent money to Elon Musk to buy fucking Twitter so Elon Musk could use it to promote Donald Trump all the way into the White House. That fucking happened. You didn't imagine it. It actually fucking happened. People said, oh, he's bought this media thing for loads more than it's worth. He's going to lose so much money on it. No, he's not, because it wasn't his fucking money. It was the Saudis' money, and for them, it was a sound investment to get Trump in charge so he could drill. More oil. Get it, just, stop the green revolution in its fucking tracks. Just imagine that boat that they fucking took, the Americans took last week off the Venezuelans, right? Had $95 million worth of bunker oil on it. $95 million of oil on one boat. That's how profitable oil is. You have to understand, the more we move away from oil, the oil companies, cornered, will lash out in any way they can. And it's not just oil companies like Shell and Exxon and BP. It's also oil states and oil oligarchs. People are selling this filthy fucking fuel that is destroying the planet, that is poisoning our seas, that is poisoning the air, that is causing more and more extreme weather events. Look how fucking terrified they are. 80% of the transphobic content that comes out of America is in some way funded by the fucking oil lobby. They're the ones paying for it. Why? Because they want to divide and rule. Divide and fucking rule. Some might think that we're getting our comeuppance now, because that's what the British did around the world. They divided and ruled during the era of the British Empire, when it was at its peak, in the 1880s, 1890s, scramble for Africa, just taking places, just taking them, looting their burning down the palaces, looting their treasures, and just being like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, Katrina, thank you very much for the super chat. Confefe, do you know the crown the South Koreans gave Trump belonged to an insane and corrupt tyrant from their country? No, it didn't, Katrina, but that makes sense. And also, Martin Harrow there with £2 super chat. Thank you very much. To wake Diz up with a smile. That is very nice. Andy says, my dad was from Glasgow. I can claim asylum up there when it goes independence. Yeah. Left field, but Russia and Saudi equals big oil. The new generation of sodium-ion batteries are going to make solar storage huge, improve the grid, and free us from the curse of big oil. Yeah, I hope so. So that's some red desk there. And no, the Netherlands, which unfortunately are having its own issues, but at least in the EU. Yeah. But in the Netherlands, Trump is promoting Geert Wilders. Is that just the way the light is? Oh no, there's actually a bit of, sorry, you don't normally see me without my hat. seems to be like a little mark on my hat there. See that smudge? Smudge? I don't know what that is. I'll keep my head up like this so you can't see it. Otherwise, it's just going to annoy me in the monitor. The same complacency, the same denial that we saw in America over Trump, we're seeing it now over Farage. We saw it over Brexit. Oh, the Brexiteers, they'll never win. They're just a bunch of lunatics. They're a bunch of fringe lunatics. And they fucking won. Why did they win? Because it's what the billionaires wanted. You have to understand the billionaires and Putin, who's probably the richest man in the world. We don't know. He doesn't release his finances. But the billionaires of the world fucking hate the EU. You have to understand that, okay? The caterers for the Vogons, they fucking hate the Vogons. That's why they let Ford Prefect and Arthur Dent on board, okay? They hate the Vogons and they make the food taste really shit, okay? Yeah, okay, good. So, billionaires hate the EU. Vladimir Putin hates the EU. Why? Because the EU stands up to these motherfuckers. Rupert Murdoch hates the EU. That famous line, when he goes to Downing Street, they have to listen to him. When he goes to Brussels, they ignore him. So, what do they want? Brexit. What do they get? Brexit. Because it's what the billionaires wanted. The billionaires wanted Trump back in the White House, and they were prepared to move heaven and earth to make that happen. They bribed judges. They made elections go a certain way. They bought all the voting machine companies. They fucked it in every way they possibly could in order for Trump to win again. Even though this guy is a massive racist, even though this guy is a sex offender, he brags about sexually abusing women. He has been found in a court of law to have sexually abused a woman. At least one. His ex-wife, Ivana. His ex-wife, Ivana, accused him in a court of law of raping her. And yet people still voted for him. People still voted for him because they just don't care. And what the press do is they normalize this shit. The media obsession with personality over policy. They give these fuckers platform after platform after platform. No publicity is bad publicity for the right. You have to understand that. And it is no good telling people that this guy is a racist because it is not going to stop them from voting for him. It isn't. They're either going to forgive him for being a racist, think that he's not going to go after them because they're one of the good people from that particular ethnic minority. Or they'll do some mental gymnastics. People are very, very good at cognitive dissonance. To have two completely opposing views in their head at the same time. It's a common phenomenon, especially on the right, where people, because of their brain structure, they're not as smart and they're driven by fear. And fear makes people do really stupid things, makes them make very, very bad decisions. Fear and boredom have killed more human beings than fucking war, disease, famine put together. Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. The tactics of the oil companies remind me of those used by the tobacco companies. Yes. At one point, they suggested that smoking protected from dementia. Yes. I heard from kids when I was a teenager who told me that smoking cannabis cleaned out your lungs, which I was like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? If you go into a house fire, it doesn't clean out your lungs. If you turn your engine on in your car, wind down the windows and close the fucking door of your garage, I don't think it cleans out your fucking lungs. And I do think that cannabis is usually mixed with, I don't know, tobacco to make a joint. I think that's how it works. I don't know. Don't do it. But like, I assume that's how it works. I don't think you have pure cannabis death sticks, whatever. And maybe in America where it's like the bushy stuff they use, but over here it's like the resin stuff, isn't it? I don't know. I don't do it. I don't know much about it. You can probably tell me more about it in the chat. Please just don't tell me how wonderful it is and how it cures all the problems in the world. It might have helped you, but you know, there's some people who take a paracetamol, it does nothing, doesn't touch the sides. There's some people who can't sleep and they take a sleep medication and it doesn't make them go to sleep. Everyone's different. So although cannabis might have helped with your particular problem, it might have not helped somebody else. Or, I don't know, if you know someone who's had borderline personality disorder, it might have made them actively worse and really hyped up the psychosis and the and the determination to fall for every single daft conspiracy theory known to man and ignore all the actual conspiracies that are going on, which aren't hidden. They're just going on in plain sight. Like, I don't know, the oil companies funding 80% of the transphobia in America. That's not a secret. That's been reported on. It's in the news. We have the evidence. We have the receipts that that is going on right now. Do they care? No, I don't care about that. But yeah, the point being that, like, you know, some things work for some people, other things don't, right? Generally, people with right-wing views have different brain structures to the rest of us. So the same thing that makes you change your mind on someone, like they're a rapist, and you go, oh, fuck that guy then, he's out of my purview. Or they're a bully, and you go, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to drop you like a hot stone. Like the former speaker, John Bercow. I thought he was great when he was a speaker. I thought he was fucking wonderful. Then it came out that he was a bully. I've got friends who, you know, had contact with him in the professional capacity, and they confirmed it to me and said, yeah, he is. And I was like, okay, drop him like a hot stone. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You know? But that's me on the left. On the right, they'll be like, oh, well, you know, you gotta be horrible to people in order to get away with it. Do you remember Priti Patel? She was done for bullying, right? Remember that? She broke ministerial code for bullying. And did she resign? Did she fuck? Who resigned? The person who put together the fucking report into her being a bully. He had to leave. She didn't. Because the right forgive anything. What's his name? Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson. The guy who forced his mistress to have 2 of his abortions and lied about it to the then leader of the Tory party. And then years later, you know, he was banging that American woman who he gave £127,000 of taxpayers' money to for IT lessons, which was him boning her on the fucking family settee while his wife was being treated for cancer. He still became Prime Minister. Because on the right, they don't fucking care. Sorry, wrong hand. Because on the right, they don't fucking care. They don't care. They do not care. Katrina Tam, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Most US oil refineries are for processing crude oil. The US has run out of crude oil and can't process the light oil they're making from fracking. Guess which country has the most crude oil? Venezuela. Katrina, yes. Venezuela has the biggest proven reserves of crude oil in the world. And where else has a lot of crude oil? Canada. Yeah. Canada. And who else? Who's the third country that has a load of fucking crude oil that America needs for its refineries? So America's built all these refineries for crude oil, which is the really heavy stuff, right? The really gloopy, heavy stuff that, you know, you pour it out of a cup and it'll just take an hour to actually drip out the cup, like molasses, okay? That is crude oil. That is the really heavy stuff. That they've got the processing facilities to process them, and they've built them up over decades. They are there in America. What they're getting from the fracking that they're doing at the moment is light oil, which is like lemonade. You know, it's just, it's light brown. It's light brown. It's not even like black, gloopy oil like you think of oil, black and gloopy. This is light brown, and they don't have the processing facilities to process it. So even though they're drilling for more oil than ever, they're fracking for more oil than ever, they're not, or is it shale? Is it shale oil, shale gas? They've got more oil than ever before, but they can't process it. So they're having to export their oil for exporting, and they're having to import oil from Canada, Russia, and Venezuela. Now, obviously, Russia's out the game because of the war in Ukraine, which is why America is so, well, Trump is so heavy-handed about ending that war, because he doesn't give a fuck about Ukraine, doesn't give a fuck about Europe. All he wants is the oil. And now we're seeing the same thing happening with Venezuela. He doesn't give a fuck about the people's plight under Maduro, who is a gobshite, but he will see a far-right gobshite be put in Maduro's place, who's just as bad, if not worse, so long as that gives him access to buy that oil, super cheap, and then they can process it and they'll have more oil for the oil barons, the oil companies, the car companies that all rely on fucking oil. You drive down the street, you are driving on oil. You see the lines painted on the road, that's made out of oil. You see the plastic wheelie bins, they're made out of oil. The paint that we use on our houses is made out of fucking oil. The food that we eat sometimes has derivatives from the oil industry in it, you know? There's oil everywhere. Everything that you use has some fucking oil in it somewhere, somehow. The clothes that we wear, if you wear fucking polyester, nylon, all that shit, it's made from fucking oil. Gotta understand, it is fucking everywhere. Yeah, and so, you go like, fucking hell, we use it all the time. How can they not be making enough money? But they can never make enough money. They've always got to make more. They've always got to make more. And what is the biggest threat to the oil companies and the massive yachts of their CEOs? It is quite simply this: the green revolution, solar panels, wind turbines. That's it. We've got a message here from Ibizan. Thank you very much for the five US dollars. Ivanka wrote it in a book, recanted it in a legal statement. E. Jean Carroll is the one who beat him in court on sex abuse. Oh, I thought, I got that wrong then. So I thought that she said it in court during the divorce, separation stuff, and then she recanted it later, but not in a court. So I must have got that wrong. Sorry. But yeah, even so. But it's pretty fucking grim. And Ibizan says cannabis can be wonderful. It's individual. Yeah, I said that. It works for some people, but some people it doesn't work, and some people it actively makes them worse. But the idea that it cleans your lungs out. Sorry. And David says Graham Putin, Trump hate the EU because von der Leyen is in charge of the EU and she's lefty. They didn't complain when Merkel had the power. Big sweet ginger. Yes, they did. No. Putin did complain when Merkel, who wasn't in charge of the EU, she was just in charge of Germany, but she it's not about them being left wing. It's about the EU standing up against tech companies. It's about the EU standing up against Russia and putting sanctions on Russia and encroaching on Russia's territory. Don't forget Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia. They were part of the USSR. They were part of the now 15 countries that were part of the USSR before it collapsed in the early 90s, and they're now part of the EU, and that fucks Putin off. It's always fucked Putin off, whoever was in charge. And van der Leyen's been in charge of the EU for years now. It's about 8 years now, I think, since she got in as president of the EU Commission. But the Trump has hated the EU since before then, and Vladimir Putin in particular has hated the EU. The hatred of the EU goes back to 1997 and the publication of a book called The Foundations of Geopolitics by an author called Alexander Dugin in Russia. A book so important that they've made it like a text that you have to read in every school. Like every school has this book. And in it talks about invading Georgia, invading Ukraine, fomenting political instability in America through culture wars and race riots and things like that. And it says explicitly that they need to separate off the UK from the rest of Europe. That happened 9 years ago. Jobs are good for them. It may be individual experience, but the general consensus is it's a net benefit backed by hundreds of thousands of patients under medical professionals. Rosebud says, like weed has some wonderful effects and benefits, but pretending it doesn't cause damage, especially the hyper intense and sprayed weed commonly available, is churlish. Yeah, but the thing is, Rosebud, that there's a thing that I think there's a chemical in cannabis that obviously it is addictive, and also I think that it's like it has like a self-protective gene thing in it. Not gene, that's a bad word for it, but a chemical that makes it so that when you smoke it or ingest it, I guess, it triggers the same addiction response that you get when you fall in love. So people will defend that particular thing that they like to do with the same intensity and the same passion, and they will genuinely feel it. They will really there's people watching this who genuinely love it, and it's because whatever it is, whatever chemicals are in that particular stuff, the THC or whatever that has the active chemical change in your brain chemistry, it triggers that response. It triggers that adoration, and don't forget, as far as I'm concerned, like love very much is very close to addiction in the way that your brain processes stimuli. So when you love someone, it is, and especially in those first few weeks, the first few months of being in love with someone, it is like an addiction. You need to be around that person. You don't want to be away from that person. You can't get enough of them. And that's very similar to the way people are with addictions. And it's one of the reasons why, I mean, this doesn't have to be a chemical thing. It obviously happens with gambling and also happened with Brexit and Trump and Farage. People fall in love with these motherfuckers and these fucking ideas. And it becomes part of their identity. And once it's become part of their identity, you explain what you do to people. And one of the things that'll come up is that you absolutely love Brexit. You absolutely love weed. You absolutely love drinking or gambling or whatever it is. Or your partner, maybe. Or partners. I don't know if you're polyamorous. But yeah, I think that's a really interesting part of human psychology. But there is an evangelical streak in potheads that you don't really get with other drugs. I've never met anyone who's been like trying to get me to take cocaine and been like, oh my God, you've got to do this, Graham. It'll be fucking, it'll cure anything, or if you have a problem, you say, I'm feeling a bit down today. And they go, you know what you need, Graham? You need some LSD. I'm like, okay. You don't get the same kind of evangelical zeal that you do with weed, which seems out of all the drugs. I know it's not the hardest of drugs by any stretch of the imagination. You can't overdose on it, etc. But I do find it interesting that is the one that people get really fucking evangelical about in a way that they don't on other drugs. I never had anyone say to me, oh, what you need is some heroin, Graham. You need some crystal meth. That'll sort you out. That'll sort your eyes out. Are you a bit anxious, are you, Graham, about the state of the world? Oh, do you know what you want to do? You want to get a big spliff full of crystal meth. I don't think it works like that anyway. But yes, you take my point. What else have we got in here? 5 million, this is Nick, 2016 voters have died. New young voters back rejoin by 5-1. 29% of Leave voters now want to rejoin. Net results, rejoin 19.8 versus stay out 11.7. An 8 million majority for rejoin. Last I saw the stats from YouGov, and your mileage may vary on this. YouGov, rejoin, EU poll. 9 years after the referendum, where does opinion stand? Let's have a look. So only 56% of those polled said we were wrong to leave. And that's pretty much been consistent now since 2013. Yeah, I wouldn't have a referendum tomorrow, Nick. We'll probably lose it. Sorry to say. Because it's what the billionaires want. They want us to stay out the EU. They want us to be impoverished and have our power taken off us. Until we tackle that issue, if I was the Labour Party right now, I would be trying to get closer relations with the EU, but I wouldn't be talking about rejoining, even though I want to. I want a hard rejoin. I've told you this. I want, Schengen, the Euro, everyone speaking German. Ibazan, thank you very much for the $2 US. THC, not more addictive than alcohol or cigs. But where does the evangelical bit come in to that part of it not being addictive? Because I don't get the same, well, maybe I don't get the same evangelical thing about cigarettes. Like, people don't genuinely want me to smoke cigarettes and think that if I did, I'd be a better person. Or drink alcohol. Unless there's someone here from the alcohol lobby, from Diageo or something, trying to sell me Guinness. I don't really get that. I know there's people where you say you're not having a drink and they go on. There's an annoying thing that older generations do. Not all boomers. Don't at me. Not all boomers. But fuck me, so many boomers. And they'll say, oh, you can have one. You say, no, I'm driving. And they go, you can have one. And I'm like, fuck you. I shouldn't say that out loud, in a conversation with an elderly person. But I'm like, fuck you. I'm getting in a car with kids. The fuck? What is wrong with you? Why would you even say that? Oh, you can have one. No, I can't. You can't have one in Scotland. You can't have one in fucking Poland. Why is the life of a Polish kid worth more than a British kid? I'm not fucking drinking and driving. End of. But yeah, apart from that, I don't really get many people saying, oh, what you need is alcohol, Graham. But you get it with weed. You just do. It's like cryptocurrency. Everyone who's an acolyte of the cryptocurrency thing, they want to get as many people on board as possible. Ms. Paula Thomas, the irony is that by invading Ukraine, Putin has put the UK closer to Europe, which is a staggering lack of understanding my parents' generation in World War II. Yeah. And good, like that's one slightly good thing that's come of this horrific invasion of Ukraine, is that it has forced Britain to realise, and the advent of Trump in America, that our partners are in Europe. They're not in Russia. They're not in America. They're not halfway around the fucking world. They're next door in Europe. They're our partners. They're our brothers and sisters, and cousins, colleagues, co-workers, neighbours, friends, Romans, countrymen. I cried hard when the Great Britain left the EU. I knew it was going to be a bad thing. Yeah. How's it Glastonbury? Fucking way to ruin Glastonbury. Graham, I think it's perfectly acceptable to tell the elderly to fuck off, says Chris, if they don't take the hint. Respect is a two-way street after all. Well, one thing I like to do when elderly people, and God, get the boomer thing out. Hang on a sec. Before I go on it. Not all boomers, but some of them, when they say something racist and they go, oh, you can't say, and they use a racial slur anymore. And especially if you're having dinner with them, this is the best time to do it. Like you're at a wedding or something and you're sitting around the table and they go, oh, you can't say this word anymore, can you? And you go, cunt. And they go, what? Cunt. What did you just say? I said, cunt. Oh, what's wrong? Are you offended? Oh, sorry. So you do agree that words can be offensive? Oh, okay, cool. You cunt. Anyway, when Glasgow misfired, Jeremy Corbyn. Nick, don't blame Glasgow. I was there. You can see me in the footage. I'm there with the big yellow bollocks to Brexit flag, which I should have copyrighted that, in 2017, before the stickers came out. And I'm there at the front with the bollocks to Brexit flag, and I will tell you now that the people who were there with the Corbyn placards and singing along at the front of the crowd were put there. They filed into the crowd from backstage. So if you look at the Glastonbury stage, there's a little door to the left of the stage where if you are backstage, you can come out and watch the bands. And the security guard in the high vis vest came out, right, and basically moved the crowd. And he had a file of young women behind him, young attractive women behind him, and they filed him out, and they were holding the sign saying, oh, Jeremy Corbyn, and they had all the Glastonbury face paint on and stuff like that. Now, I can't prove that they were paid to be there, possibly by Vladimir Putin. But, oh my God. It certainly didn't feel like a grassroots moment. Everyone was just waiting for the Run the Jewels to come on, I think. But yes, and One Angry Pagan says, I think it's sort of subcultural. I don't know what that means. Thing when it comes to weed. I suspect because you can't overdose on it, then oversimplifications begin. I just think that like it is weird the way of all of the toxic substances that humans like to ingest for whatever reason. That is the one that people absolutely fall in love with. And people say it's not addictive. And I'm like, well, really? Is it not? Because the people I know who were potheads when they were teenagers are still potheads now in their 40s, you know? Anyway, language changes. Sometimes you're not informed. I've used wrong words at times, but never for malice. Yeah. And Liam says, if I didn't have cannabis, I would not have a job, probably relying on the state on 10 different medications, requiring 3 different medications just to counter the effects of the 10. Yeah, Liam, it works for you, and that's great. That's fantastic. Elle says, someone handed me a bottle. I couldn't hear them in a loud club, so I tipped the bottle to see what's inside, and it turned out to be liquid poppers, I think. I sniffed my hand and threw up on him. Shit. Colin, thank you very much for the £5 super chat for the demonetized fund. Thank you. One of the things that I love about this channel now is I don't have to care anymore about demonetization, because you lot keep like the channel afloat with super chats and by subscribing to the channel and by joining the channel. In fact, if you would like to join the channel, get your name at the end, which I need to update. Sorry, I will do that this week. Get your name at the end and join the channel. It makes a big difference. It really does make a big difference, and it allows me to make content that I'm not scared of the algorithm. I'm thinking, oh, better not say this, better not say that, or I might get demonetized and there'll be no advertising. It's probably better if there's no advertising on these videos, because then at least you get the whole video and you get to watch it. But YouTube did a thing recently where they made it so if you watch a video on catch up, they automatically put ads in, and you got to individually demonetize it yourself if you want to stop that from happening. It's so frustrating. I'd like for there to be an advert at the beginning, an advert at the end, and that's your lot. For the Demon Fund, thank you very much to Veg Pie for that. It's very kind of you. Also, when they go on about making young generations national service, I turn around and say, well, you're going to lead by example. Yeah. I absolutely agree. I mean, yeah, that's one of the biggest things of hypocrisy. You know, it's yeah. Yeah. Someone's just texting me about Rob Reiner dying and saying inconceivable. Yeah, really grim. Okay, so let's look at, we were talking about Farage, weren't we? So the sort of normalization of these characters through coverage in the media, the media obsession over personality, over policy, the focus on tone, gaffes, spectacle. Oh my god, I'm so sick and tired of seeing stupid fucking videos. And I've left the, I used to subscribe to some of these platforms, and I do not anymore, because I hate the fact that they go, oh, this is, they'll put out a thumbnail that says, this is the end of Trump. Trump is fucking doomed. And this isn't just clickbaity YouTube channels. This is like the Times. They do it for like Putin. If you like Times Radio, they keep on doing this thing every day. The Russians are finished. Putin's on his last legs. Oh, he's all gonna die. And you click on it, and it's like Trump said a word wrong, or he tripped up slightly going up some stairs, or some judge on some lower court went, yeah, well, I don't agree with what he's doing here. And you're just reading the article, or watching the video, I guess, and just going, they're just going to knock it back at the Supreme Court. Like, well, what the fuck? Why are you even telling me? Why are you trying to get me excited about this? But the idea that because of a gaffe of Donald Trump or Nigel Farage, it's going to stop them from winning, it's not. You've got to go for something a lot more visceral than that. You've got to explain how these motherfuckers are traitors and how they go against everything that the flag shaggers believe in. That's what you've got to do. You've got to expose them, not as like, gaff-ridden buffoons. That doesn't work. You can't even say that they're fucking racists. What you've got to do is try to explain in some way that having these twats in power is going to be detrimental to the people voting for it. But even that's fucking difficult, because people were told that voting for the EU, voting to leave the EU, would be detrimental to their financial situation, and they voted for it anyway. And to make Diz happy, we've got Viper Scott there with the £2 super chat, which triggers the confetti! Woo! Yes! We did it. Well done, everyone. We did it. Viper Scott didn't feel that long, says Viper Scott, who's been a member for 14 months. Thank you, Viper Scott. You are the best, Alistair. Thank you for being here, you wonderful people. It helps me a lot. Wishing you a wonderful Christmas, says Plum. Thank you, Plum Dove, and you too. Have a wonderful Christmas. So yeah, we got the focus on tone, the focus on gaff, the focus on stupid things, the focus on the lies. People don't care about the lies. They don't care. Oh, we caught them lying. They care if it's Rachel Reeves. They care if it's Angela Rayner. They do not care if it's Donald Trump. They do not care if it's one of them, one of their team. It's like football, okay? It's footballification. If one of their team fouls one of our team, you stand up and go, oh my God, ref, red card, whoa! But if it's someone from your team who obviously fouled someone from the other team, it's like, oh, come on, ref. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh, mate, no, that doesn't deserve a card. It doesn't even deserve a free kick. Oh, get up, mate. He's just swinging the lead. It's the same. It's the same fucking process. It's the same thing that people are thinking. It's my team. It's someone on my team. I'm going to defend them. So we have to find stuff that cuts through. And saying that Nigel Farage is a racist is not cutting through. And it won't cut through. Paul Ewan, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Call a can to canned fund in a way. Call a can to can. Don't call my can here. Call my fucking can. Some bloke comes up to me and he goes, you fucking can. What did you? Fucking! What did you? I call him a fucking cunt, didn't I? I was fucking different. What do you have? I call him a fucking cunt. I was defending myself, wasn't I? Katrina, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. I couldn't agree more about the overhyped, clicky-baity YouTube thumbnails and titles. It's so annoying. I unsubscribe from some US channels specifically because of them. Me too. It's like, can you stop doing this? Do you know who doesn't do this? TLDR. I love TLDR News. I think it's a really good resource on the internet. They have these really good 5-minute videos where they just explain stuff in simple language. It's not particularly, it's not like this where this is all my opinion, not necessarily, I'm not telling you why it's all working or what the news is. This is just my opinion on stuff. I'm basically a tabloid columnist on the internet. TLDR I really like, but other channels that talk about this stuff, and it's like, Trump is finished. How many times are they going to say that? But you had the same thing. The previous leader of Labour, I can't remember his name, but there were articles about him. There was one on, I don't know, I think it was Medium or something. No, it wasn't. It was on like Left Foot Forwards, or maybe it was the Canary or something like that. Or maybe the London Economic. I don't know. And it said, do you think Corbyn is unelectable? ? Think again. And this came out in like 2018 or something, when he was clearly unelectable. At the time, he was the most unpopular leader of a major political party in the world. And they were like, they did this article going, you can definitely win this election coming up. You can definitely win this election. And then after the election, they changed the headline. You can go on the way back machine and see what the old headline was and what the new headline. And it was like, they just changed it. They kept the content the same, but the headline changed from this idea that you think you can't win an election. Think again, knobheads. And it was a bit more like, he should have won that election. He did win that election, if you think about it. Apart from the fact that he lost. Yeah. I unsubscribed from Media Touch, Politics Joe, and Brian Tyler Cohen for that reason. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be, these are fellow YouTubers and they do really well, and I do like their content, generally speaking. And Brian Taylor Cohen has actually done a video where he explains why he does these clickbaity fucking things, right? Because they're chasing the algorithm. And this is why, another reason why I appreciate you so much watching this and the people giving super chats, like the people giving super chats today, because it allows me to say what the fuck I want, and I can do normal thumbnails that are just, not particularly. I know I like to be quite. I try and be funny with my thumbnails. I try and be like, a little bit outrageous, but I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I'm not going to be like, Farage is finished, or Trump is dying, or Putin, it's the war is over, because I don't believe that, and I credit you with some intelligence to know that if I was saying that, I don't think you'd watch this channel, because you'd be like, Graham, you're talking bollocks, and more bollocks than I normally talk. But I try my best not to lie. I try my best not to blow smoke up your ass and make out things are true when they're not. because the reality is Trump is in, and he's in for the long haul. He's not going anywhere unless that motherfucker dies, shits himself to death. He's going to be in power now for the until the end of his days. He's not leaving the White House unless it's in a box. And people keep going, he can't do that. He can't do it. Oh, yes, he did. He can't do that. Don't worry, everyone. He can't do that. Oh, he just did. Don't worry. He's gonna get. He's gonna get fucked by this. Oh, he's just done that. And until the opposition in America gets off their fucking arse and starts really, really fighting back, you've seen a little bit of this with Gavin Newsom, with Mandami in New York. Just get in the gutter and fight the motherfucker. When they go low, don't go high because you'll miss them. So when they go low, if they try and do a low kick in Street Fighter 2, right? And you decide to jump over the top of them, you're not going to land a blow. Okay? If they go low, you go fucking lower. Sweep the legs out from under them and then punch them in the face. Repeatedly. Haruken! That's what you need to do. But yes, with Trump in America, his fascistic language is treated as rhetoric or rhetorical excess. It's not treated as it should be, of like, oh my God, this motherfucker has said this and this is so wrong. This is like, a big problem. It's like, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. Oh, it's just Nigel being Nigel. And he didn't really mean it. He didn't really mean it becomes the default defense. And it's like, no, look at what he says. Look at what he does. Don't say, oh, don't look at what he says. Look what he does. No. Look what he says. Listen to what he says and look at what he does. Both of them in tandem. Because everything he said he wanted to do, he's fucking doing it. And racism becomes framed as, what do they call it? Not economic anxiety. It's legitimate concerns. That's it. Legitimate concerns. This is a way of making illegitimate concerns sound legitimate when they're absolutely not. And then we've got, in the UK with Farage, the concerns about immigration, when it's racism. Stop it. Antisemitism allegations treated as this sort of like historical trivia almost by Farage, but it's working. It's not stopping people from voting for him. It might stop him getting the Jewish vote, which is good because it means that fewer Jewish voters, but also any funders who had got Jewish background who might have considered funding REFA because maybe they're Tories. That might give them pause. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't expose that Farage was a racist in school and point it out, but it's got to be part of a holistic effort to get rid of this motherfucker, which I think has to include going out after him the full weight of the fucking law. Investigate him. Investigate. Oh, you can't investigate your political rivals? Yes, you fucking can, because he'll do it to you. He will so do it to you. And then you've got the press fascination with his anger rather than its targets. You've got the BBC and the press attacked and the institutions retreating instead of confronting people like Farage. And he complains about the BBC endlessly. He doesn't complain about endlessly turning up on fucking Question Time, does he? The twat. And the outrage cycles replace accountability because there's so much of it. You forget all the shit Trump did a few weeks ago because there's a new thing to be outraged about. And in the US, institutions constantly asked what if this is all bluster about Trump, and courts and Congress and the media, they slow walk the early warnings. And then when there was an opportunity to take Trump out because of the 4 criminal fucking trials that he was confronting, he stole documents. The January the 6th riot that injured over 150 police officers and caused $3 million worth of damage to the Capitol building, their Parliament building. Imagine if 1,500 neo-Nazis at the behest of Nigel Farage attacked Parliament and then Nigel Farage fucking pardoned them all. That's what happened in America. They didn't go after him fast enough. It was a year before any criminal investigations. They were letting it go through their Parliament. They were letting it go through Congress, which was pointless. They were going, we're going to impeach him. That'll show him. It's like, no, you don't rule fucking the Senate, so you can impeach him, you can find him guilty or whatever, then yeah, it's got to go to the Senate, and they've got to decide whether anything's going to happen about it. They're the final arbiters on this kind of thing. And of course, they're going to vote down political lines, and they fucking did. And they fucking did. What a waste of time. Just gone straight for the criminal action. The guy stole documents. The guy called up the governor of Georgia and demanded he find another 11,780 votes. Funnily enough, that was the exact number he needed to win that election in that state. Every escalation with Trump was treated as an isolated case as well. It wasn't like they didn't put all this stuff together, all this horrible shit that he did. The fake voter scheme, where the fake elector scheme, where they had this board of fake electors who were going to go to Washington and vote on the behalf of Trump rather than behalf of the voters in that state. And by the time that they got around to actually doing something about it, it was too late. And now Trump is president again and destroying America, destroying the democratic free world as we know it, at the behest of the Saudis and the Russians, who want to sell their oil, and they're absolutely terrified of solar panels. All this is happening because of fucking solar panels. And then, I'm not blaming solar panels, by the way, the fear of solar panels. And Farage, there's endless demands from Farage for context and balance. Whenever he says something, you got to think about the context. He did this with the racism thing. It's you got to think about the context, though. Bernard Manning was on the TV. The BBC should be the ones to apologise, really, if you think about it. He called, there's no serious questioning of his fitness for office. Look at these twats all around the UK who have become councillors and leading councils here in Durham. We're going to have a £3.6 million shortfall in for our council's budget, even if they raise our council tax by 5%, which they're going to do, which they're absolutely going to do, because they don't know what they're doing. They're a bunch of fucking clowns. And then there's the calls for apology to Farage land on deaf ears, because he just stands up there and he calls on the BBC to apologise because of Bernard Manning. And yeah, the press seem like reluctant to say this disqualifies you from running, and meet the Parliament seems to be reluctant to do that as well. Okay, there's certain things the Labour Party could do right now, right? Well, we're doing in Australia. The big thing in Australia last week was the fact that kids weren't allowed to get on social media anymore, right? And that was a huge thing, right? But one of the other things that came out last week was that they were cutting down funding of political parties. So they got a set amount from the state, and that's how much they got to spend. We need that in the UK. We need that in the UK, because the billionaires are going to back reform. And the billionaires back them, they will win. I will tell you that now. They will fucking win if we allow the billionaires, foreign billionaires, to back them. That's how Trump won. That's how I can't say that I predicted Trump was going to win last year, but I was one of the few people on social media, you were watching at the time, I'm sure, where I said, I think he's going to win, right? And the reason I kept giving all through the summer of 2024 was that the billionaires want him to win. The billionaires control the minds of millions through their social media, through their traditional media, through their TV channels, through their newspapers. They control the will of people. The will of the people is controlled. It is puppeteered by billionaires. Because when I say the people, I mean the lazy people who can't be asked thinking for themselves. And so they delegate the responsibility of using God's gift to them, their fucking brain. They delegate the responsibility to Rupert Murdoch, or to Lord Rothermere, or the Barclay brother, or Richard fucking Desmond, or whichever tyrant billionaire they subscribe to, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, Peter Thiel. And then, the benefit of the doubt, stop it. Stop giving gobshites like Farage the benefit of the doubt. They do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. The previous leader of Labour was given the benefit of the doubt when it was fucking obvious from the moment that he lost The referendum never, because he was supposed to be on our side, by the way. I know, news. And then lost the fucking general election. He lost the general election against Theresa May, who ran the worst campaign in British electoral history. And they still lost, but they behaved like they won. They behaved like they fucking won. And yet, even after losing the referendum, losing a general election, he was still given the benefit of the doubt. How mad is that? Why is it that when certain people let us down once, 37 years ago, we're like, we'll never forgive them. We'll never forgive them. They can never sort that out. They did that terrible thing and I'm never going to forgive them. But when it comes to people that we like, suddenly it's, got excuses to make, haven't we? It's not our fault. It's because the media hate them. The media hate them. Well, that's surprising for a left-wing leader in this country. Zach Polanski's probably got a few things to say about that. Probably Keir Starmer's got a few things to say about that. You enjoying your beer, Keir? Fuck me. And then we've got the dog whistles from Trump and Farage, which is just becoming policy. Build the wall under Trump. Was the run-up to his border security crackdown, which is just terrorism. The Muslim ban that he brought in his first term, remember that? The family separation justified as deterrence because we don't want people from other countries coming here. And racial hierarchy embedded via bureaucratic language. And they know how important language is. It's why they changed the name of the Department of Defense to Department of War. It's why they've taken out any terms that they deem woke from the history books in America. They've rewritten the history books. Like what Winston's job was in 1984? It was rewriting the history books. It was like editing articles. So if anyone looked up an article from the week ago, they were always at war with Oceania, whatever it was called, East Asia. I just, yeah. And then, yeah, in the UK with the dog whistles, deportation numbers, like the people coming over in small boats, the island of strangers, that stupid, fucking idiotic, moronic thing that Keir Starmer said. And you're just feeding the monster. You're just feeding the fucking monster. Stop it. It's like in like a superhero movie where they have some like special armor that absorbs the energy that they're attacked with, and then they can use the energy to attack other people. It's a bit like that. You're throwing him this stuff and you're thinking, I'm defeating you. And they're just absorbing the energy to throw it right back at you. That's what Farage does. And Labour trying to ape, outdo Farage isn't working. It can never work. The way that they can neuter Farage is by stopping political donations, stopping politicians from having a second job, stopping major political donations. Say they can't get 9 million from some random cunt who lives in fucking Thailand anymore. All right, stopping him having other jobs because he'll have to live off his fucking his meager pension from the EU, which is twice as much as the average wage in the UK for actually fucking working, and also he'll get his parliamentary money, but that's it. That's 90,000 a year, so not enough to travel around everywhere on a private jet. Maybe he'll have to actually spend some time in his constituency. So you can kipper him that way. You can also bring in stronger laws about corruption. You can also have an investigation into Russia. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if the papers say, "Oh, this is just a witch hunt against Farage." Well, no, if it turns up stuff that actually shows that Farage is a gobshite, I don't care how long it takes. Get it done. Independent inquiry. And what if Farage gets in, he's going to shut down the independent inquiry? That's not going to look sus, is it? I think they should absolutely fucking do that immediately. It's something they could do, right? And also, we need social media control. We need to have control over social media and the lies that they tell. And political funding and political platforming on social media needs to be curtailed. And then you've got the media in general, the old school media on TV. Gammon Box News needs to be brought to heel for breaking Ofcom regulations time and time again. And also we need the newspapers to fuck off, putting lies on their front cover and not retracting them till weeks later. And then it's on page 27 in a little fucking box at the bottom saying, "Oh yeah, sorry, we lied about that thing." No, it's got to be on the front page. You lie on the front page, you fucking tell the truth on the front page. You got to write, we're a bunch of dickheads. There you go. Don't trust us. We lied to you. We're sorry we lied. We do it all the time. We can't help it. We just love lying. But this extremist dog whistle bullshit from Farage and his mates, his billionaire backers, is moving the Overton window to the right. And this is an issue. This is a huge fucking issue that Labour need to tackle and can tackle. They have the power to tackle because they are in power right now. There was an excuse back when they were in opposition to say, well, Labour can't really do that because they're in opposition. Fair enough, they could bring in a 10-minute bill, but the Tories could just fucking ignore it. They've not got that excuse now. And the lack of bold politics, sorry to promote Zach Polanski's podcast, but the lack of bold politics from Labour is what's going to do them in the end. Absolutely. Institutions think that they can handle Farage. They thought they could handle Trump. Republicans assumed they could control him. Civil servants assumed norms would restrain him. The media assumed that the exposure to the crimes he's committed in the past would weaken him. And all of them were catastrophically wrong. And then you've got Farage, the assumption again here that Parliament will restrain him. I spoke to people who claim that it would be great if Farage was elected as an MP because then it would expose what a twat he was. How's that working out for you? The assumption that, if he had to go into a coalition with the Tories, that would soften his stance. It fucking wouldn't. It would just be the most Brexity extremist Tory party we've ever seen. And all that refuck is the Tory party reformed, like the Terminator, glooping back together and rising up from the floor after you think he's dead. That's what the Tory party does. It always does. And it's realised that its defeat in 2014 was so catastrophic, left them with only 121 MPs, the worst defeat for the Conservative Party since about 1834, I think. Absolutely catastrophic defeat in terms of percentages of seats for the Tory party. What they normally do in this circumstance, they get a new leader in and pretend they're a whole new party. That didn't work this time. That didn't work because it was too devastating. No one wanted the Tories and no one will want the Tories to be in charge for years to come. So what do? You make a new party. You make a new Tory party, call them refuck, and then slowly, you bring the ship alongside, and the captain of this ship is Farage, and he brings across these refugees from the Tory party across, Gullis and Leadsom and Loathsome, whatever. Bring them all over and then, set sail and take power again as the Tory party 2.0. And one thing that we should be pushing as much as possible, because this is something that will irk his supporters more than saying that he's a massive racist, is pushing the fact that this is just another incarnation of the Tory party, just with Nigel Farage at the helm. Some of them might like that, but some of them who are sick of the Tories' incompetence, they won't like it. They will not like it. But yes, in America, it's shown that the idea that scrutiny or the best defense against fascism is daylight or something. If daylight is the best disinfectant, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. We need to do more. We all need to do more, but particularly Labour needs to do more. You can't just assume people are gonna just wake up and fucking have this road to Damascus moment where the scales fall from thine eyes. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Stop it. Stop believing bullshit. You got to do something. You got to put things in place. That absolutely kipper, Farage. Now, how would you go after Farage? Well, he likes the life that he leads. He likes being funded by all these mysterious fucking donors from other countries, right? So stop it. If he starts getting funded, say he's got to stop being an MP. That's it. You can't be an MP and get all this money, all this political money. His party could be, properly regulated and say, no, you've only got 5 MPs, so you'll have £5 to spend this year. Great, good. That's it. End of. Print some fucking flyers, make some jam, twats. And then, the idea that there will just be some thing that will come along, something will come along and it will make Farage look really bad and then he won't get anywhere. I think it's incredibly naive. And we're looking at America. We're seeing what the future is for us in America right now. And we should be shit scared of that. And we should be doing something about it. We should be absolutely doing something about it. But yeah, they've both shown in the US and in the UK that attacking the press works. Fake news in America, that term not coined by Trump but popularized by Trump. The idea that you can spout alternative facts. Absolutely fucking deranged. Journalists banned from the Pentagon, banned from the Oval Office, banned from the White House for, coming from an institution that doesn't rename the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, or something fucking daft. And then you have this sort of reality which is replaced by this partisan bullshit, which is trotted out on Fox News and the OAN network and all this. And institutions are failing to defend democracy and failing to defend the free press robustly. And in the UK, you got the same thing. The attacks that on the BBC last week just show the way that the media ecosystem is working in this country. The BBC is hated by the billionaires because they can't influence it. They can't buy advertising on it. They can't force them to do certain things like they can with ITV or Channel 4, arguably, or other channels. They can't buy it like they can buy fucking Netflix or Amazon or whatever. Theoretically, they can't control it, and so that pisses them off. They want to get rid of it. And isn't it interesting last week that after Farage did the disastrous press conference in which he was repeatedly attacked for being racist as a schoolboy, he then turned the attack on the BBC. Now, what was the headline the next day? Not Nigel Farage is a massive racist and completely lost it in this press conference because he's a thin-skinned fucking narcissist. No, it was Farage turns ire on BBC. Farage goes after BBC. Farage accuses BBC of double standards. Farage exposes hypocrisy of BBC. So yeah, the press retreats instead of escalating scrutiny, and it sets a dangerous precedent set in America by Trump, and now it's being set in the UK. Bully the referee. It fucking works. And you've got the minimization of racism. Trump's early racism was dismissed as a confrontational style. The support from white supremacists was downplayed, and Charlottesville was treated. When you remember that when the Nazis came out and the woman died, and he said, "Oh, there were good people on both sides." What, the Nazis? There were good people on the. And the result is it emboldens these these extremists, and it emboldens people who want to commit political violence. Violence begats violence. It always does. It always has. If you look at countries where there's been a civil war, domestic violence, sexual violence goes through the fucking roof because violence can become normalized. And when violence is normalized, then this is the sort of shit that happens as a result. And then in the UK, the way that Farage came out, all guns blazing, you would have expected that to make it look like he was floundering, that he attacked, rather than defended himself, because he couldn't defend himself because he's fucking lying, and he did say these horrible things in school. But it just made him just as, maybe not more popular, but just as popular. And we've got to remember this when you see these articles or videos saying Trump's tanking in the polls. Come here. He's not. He's on about 42%. He's been on about 42% since 2015. When it gets to an election, the money comes out and the high rollers start spending all the money, Citizens United and all that kind of stuff. He can get it up to 49% of the vote. He won the popular vote last year, apparently. He can do that. But then they go back down to 42%. 42% of Americans will follow him into the gates of hell if he commanded it. Yeah. So, just what would destroy any other politician just makes these motherfuckers stronger. And so we need to get a new set of tools. We need to have new weapons. Metaphorical weapons, not actual weapons, but we need new weapons to fight this kind of tyranny, because they're using cheat codes. They're using cheat codes to dismantle and destroy our democracy as we know and love it. because they want to take away everything that makes life worth living. Bastards. And then you got the shared traits between Trump and Farage. They both claim to represent the real people. They both claim to be blue collar billionaires, stroke millionaires. When they're not, they're nepo babies who grew up in fucking splendor, grandeur. Never had to do a proper day's work in their fucking lives. And these are people who can go around committing all kinds of criminal acts, and someone will be following them, a butler, with a dustpan and brush, clearing up all the mess behind them. Like a horse shitting all over the road and someone coming behind it. Put that on the roses. Or someone with a mop and bucket to come to clean up all the blood that they leave in their wake. And the consistent victimhood narrative, where people like Farage and Trump are always the victim. It's never them. The whole Darvo thing. See you later, Alistair. Take care, mate. And then you've got they attack institutions while using those institutions. So Farage will attack the BBC while using the BBC. Trump will attack the Republican Party while using the Republican Party. Farage will attack the Tories while happily taking Tories every other day, and another Tory defects to refuck. And then you've got the fact that loyalty is demanded, not competence. They don't care about competence, and this is why we see incompetent fucks like Andrew Husband, who's leader of Durham City Council here in Durham, and Durham County Council. Leader of Durham County Council, Andrew Husband, whose last business went under, owing its creditors and the taxman £1 million fucking pounds. £1 million fucking pounds. And, the enemies are all framed as traitors, when the irony is that the biggest traitor to the American way of life and the American people and the American dream is Donald Trump, the biggest traitor to this country, the man who's cost this country the most amount of money since Hitler, is Farage. He's cost us a trillion pounds worth of assets, got shipped out the country as a result of his Brexit. And now we know that he's cost our economy at least £1 trillion. We will be £1 trillion better off in our economy. And that would translate to £500 billion more in our budget. £500 billion. Could you imagine that much money in our budget? But like 400 billion. 400 billion it would be. And then you've got to look at Trump and then go, okay, well, that's what Trump's done. What's Farage going to do? Well, he's going to politicize political institutions. His lot are trying to get, his Tufton Street twats are trying to get into National Trust and take it over and make it, this restore trust thing where they every year as a member of the National Trust, I've got to vote to keep these motherfuckers out because they're circling like fucking vultures. And what they want to do is go to these stately homes that were built on the backs of slavery, and they want to take out all references to slavery. They want to rewrite our history. And as someone with a history and politics degree, that fucks me off more than you can imagine, because the same twats who go on about, oh, you need these statues because otherwise people won't care about history. We need the statues of that slave trade, and we need the statues of that bloke who put all the children in Durham down fucking mines and let them die of black lung at the age of 8. That we need the statues of them, because otherwise people won't care about history anymore. How about you put it in a museum, and then it can be people who actually do care about history going to the museum or being dragged there by their parents and actually tell the context of the story of how that happened. Because the statue of Lord fucking Londonderry, or whatever the fuck his name is, the Marquis of Londonderry here in Durham, Charles Vane, he's a fucking scumbag. He is an absolute scumbag. But the statue's fucking amazing. The statue was done by an Italian artist who's an absolutely incredible artist. Put it in a gallery. Put it in a museum. Contextualize it. Say this is with a bad man, but it's a fucking amazing statue. Lee! Thank you very much to Lee for the £5 super chat. Hey, how you doing, mate? Hi, Graham. Reagan Lee says his AdSense account suspended, which is nearly all of his income gone. He can't speak to anyone who can tell him why. Oh, shit. I'm sorry to hear that, Lee. Can you get Reagan? To give me a shout? Reagan's got my number, hasn't he? Get Reagan to give me a shout. You've got my number, Lee. So just pass that on. That's really shit. Sorry to hear about that. Fuck. Yeah. On a side note, says Martin, I just realised all the buttons are big enough and accessible to press with my toe. Brilliant, good stuff. And I have to reforge my mod spanner every morning. That's from Chris, thank you. And then Al says I passed Mars and got images there. I love the randomness of this chat. This is beautiful. It's a beautiful fucking thing. It's just like being down it's like a Parisian coffee shop during the Enlightenment, isn't it? We're just sitting around talking about politics and science and the brave new world of the future that we could build, and what the problem is right now with the aristocracy running everything. Yeah. Mm. But yeah, what would Farage do? Well, he would also purge the civil service. He would absolutely do that. He would attack the judiciary and regulators. He would absolutely do that. He would escalate deportations and detention of anyone who he didn't claim to be British. I mean, obviously his wives or his mistresses, they'll be allowed in, but all the other foreigners, they'll be kicked out. And just like with Trump. And then, he will embed the culture war grievances in British in British law. In British fucking law, and rule through permanent fucking grievance. We're seeing what's happened in America. It'll happen here. I'm warning you now. It will happen. And wait and see is complacency, as far as I'm concerned. Democracy is at its weakest before an authoritarian takeover. Once that power is consolidated, the options to do anything about it absolutely collapse. And, Trump was not an accident. He was the product of institutional cowardice by the Democrats. They should have gone after him. At the time, in 2020, after January 6th, on January the 20th or 21st, or whenever it is that Biden took to the White House, the Democrats had a majority in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, and it had the presidency, right? They could have done anything. They could have fucking done anything. And if the Republicans filibustered it, they could have just smashed through the filibuster. They could have just said, "Well, we're gonna fucking use the nuclear option on this particular thing," and then put it back so they couldn't use it in the future or something. Could have stacked the Supreme Court with Democrats and used it as a way of destroying Trump, just absolutely destroy him financially, destroy him morally, and destroy him physically. They could have arrested him for treason easily, but the things that we saw him do. He incited a mob to go and attack their Parliament building. We saw it all happen live on TV. Like we saw 9/11 happen on TV. It happened. We saw it. It fucking happened. And although there were some weirdos out there who go, "No, it didn't happen. It was all holograms." It fucking happened. And yeah, he has faced no consequence whatsoever. In fact, he was rewarded. And now he's made an estimated $5 billion out of cryptocurrency and gifts from other countries since January this year. Crime pays, motherfuckers. Andrew, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Still convinced that Murdoch's twat presenters, Stephen Dixon and Kay Burley, threw the Brexit vote in 2016 in conjunction with YouGov Tory poll meter on top of the screen. Dixon joined GB News afterwards. Why UK? Andrew, I think a lot of them are just like that, aren't they? They're all in cahoots with each other. And there needs to be some serious boundaries put in. Robin Ince has left the Infinite Monkey Cage because he supports trans rights. And apparently that's an opinion that you're not allowed to have if you work for the BBC as a presenter of science. A bit like Gary Lineker was given shit for having opinions like, maybe we should be nice to refugees instead of treating them like shit. And he couldn't be a sports presenter. Sharon Davis, on the other hand, who can't even spell the name Sharon, only won a fucking medal because the actual the people who could have competed against her in what was the 1980 fucking Olympics, was it? Sharon Davis, was that the 1980? She that old? I don't know. There's not much competition. What did she get, a bronze or something? I don't fucking know. But she's allowed to be on, even though she's a transphobic gobshite. And Andrew Neil, famously, the editor of The Spectator, was allowed to present the BBC's flagship politics show. Oh, okay. All right. Laura Kunsberg, clearly a Tory. And Fiona Bruce on Question Time, cutting off anyone who's left wing and allowing anyone who's right wing the right to reply. The woman who said, well, Boris Johnson's father, who the BBC constantly fucking allowed to make TV shows, who lives in France now. That's nice, isn't it? He only hospitalized his wife by beating her up so badly that she was hospitalized. He only did it once. He only murdered those people once. After he murdered all those people, he didn't murder again. So is he really a bad person? It was only a one-off. So all these motherfuckers on TV, and yeah, they're all in it together. They absolutely are. But yeah, we need to. Who's the other one who's on TV all the fucking time? And Jeremy Clarkson. He was allowed to present fucking Top Gear while writing a fucking column in, I don't know, the Scum newspaper or some twatty newspaper about what a right-wing twat he was. How come he was allowed to be all political? He wrote a book. He wrote a book about politics called And Another Thing or something, didn't he? Gobshite. But that was all right. But yeah, Robin Ince can't be on the Infinite Monkey Cage because he supports trans rights, and Gary Lineker can't possibly present Match of the Day because he supports refugees. How dare they, bastards? Oh, makes me sick. So yeah, wait and see is not the best way to deal with. It wasn't the best way to deal with Trump. And so we can see we can draw a straight line from Trump to Farage. They're using the same policy. You saw it last week when Farage came out all guns blazing and attacked the BBC because he was under attack for being a racist in school and not apologising for it. And instead of saying, yep, sorry about that, I'm trying to be a better person, he attacked the BBC. Silence and politeness are not neutrality. They are permission to go back to the movie, speak no evil. At the end of the movie, sorry, spoilers, the couple who have had these horrible things done to them through the whole movie are about to be murdered in a really brutal way by the couple that they're staying with. And they are standing there on the edge of the quarry, naked, about to die. And the guy says, "Why are you doing this to us?" And the psychopaths reply, "Because you let us." That, for me, is not just, the end of a very, very disturbing movie, but that is why humanity will fall. That is why justice and democracy will crumble. And we'll say, why did you let this happen? And people would just shrug and say, "Oh, we just sort of let them." It's not good enough. Trump wasn't an accident. He's the product of institutional cowardice. And you don't manage figures like Trump and Farage. You stop them. You stop them in their tracks. You use all of the machinery of the state against these motherfuckers. And against anyone who sticks up for them. Oh, the paper's going to say mean things. Okay, right, Levinson 2. Right, okay, you're saying mean things about Keir Starmer. Fuck off. We're going to have a fucking investigation because we know you're corrupt as fuck and we can prove it. Here you go. You need to get in there before these motherfuckers grab the levers of power, because once they're in power, you ain't going to get rid of them like a fucking barnacle. You aren't going to get fucking rid of them. And so this is the world that we live in right now. And, the whole point of this discussion this morning is to say, it's not politics as usual. It's not politics as usual. Okay? We've got to stop this idea that this is just the Tories and Labour and it's all normal. It's not. This is different. This is a new threat. Not just that we'll have another few years of a fucking right-wing government in charge like with the Tories. This is a threat to everything we stand for. Everything good that the UK has achieved in the last 1,000 fucking years. And it'd be a triumph of the bad stuff that Britain's done. And it's very, very telling that you've got that disgusting joke of a woman. What's her name? Liz Truss, who was our prime minister for a few days. You got her saying on a podcast that the worst thing she's ever seen, apart from a field full of solar panels, is what was the 2012 opening ceremony for the Olympics in London. She thought it was awful. I think that's very telling. So you got to ask yourself, were you proud of that? Did that make you feel good about being British? Danny Boyle and, coming together with Frank Cottrell-Boyce and Kenneth Branagh and all these legends to put together this incredible ceremony that resonated. It was funny. It was heartfelt. It was twee. It was really good fun. And it was the last time, those Olympics were the last time I really felt proud of my country. And Nigel Farage and his acolytes just want to drag us back into a fucking sewer. They want to drag us into the sewer. That's what they want to do. We're on the gutter. Some of us are looking up at the stars. And yet some people are just below us, grabbing us through the grates and trying to drag us down like the fucking clown from It. That's what fucking Nigel Farage is. Pennywise the Farage. Fucking clown. Frog Prince. Anyway. That was brilliant. I don't know what she was watching. Silly cow, says Diz. I think it's very telling that she thought it was awful. Because they don't want that Britain. I do. I want a Britain I can be proud of. I want to say thank you to this country. I've not felt like that for a long time, especially since the Brexit vote. Yeah. Vio Castrian says, Farage speaks with absolute indignant confidence. This technique largely works. It absolutely does. He was taught that in his posh private school that he went to. It's another problem with the left. We're all fucking riddled with doubt and imposter syndrome. It's not great. We should just say things proudly and expressively, and because you let us, says Diz. Yeah. Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Trump was the product of many things, mainly the 1950 New York Democratic Party, but he achieved power through long-term voter suppression effort of the Republicans stretching back to the 1970s. Yeah, which was allowed. I mean, there was the Voter Rights Act, but yeah, the Democrats could have done more. But I've forgotten who it was who said it. It might have been just me and Vids, or was it just Click? Was it just Click Approve who said about Starmer? He brings a rule book to a knife fight, and it's such a beautiful description. It's an accurate description of what we're dealing with here. He brings a rule book to a knife fight. We've got to get down in the gutter. We've got to get dirty. We've got to screw these motherfuckers. And yeah, we need the support of people from across the political spectrum in order to do this. And that will include Tories, by the way. The ones who haven't already left to go to refuck. So we're going to go over to the papers. Now, you know what this is going to be dominated by, the news stories today, so you don't need me to tell you that. So if you want to leave it there, thanks very much for watching. It's been great having you. But we're going to go across to the papers now, and obviously it is absolutely dominated by the killings in Bondi yesterday in Australia. But first of all, we'll go to the Financial Times, which does have some other stories on the front cover. Obviously, Jews attacked on Hanukkah. Oh, sorry. I don't know why, but it hasn't opened. Why have you not opened? There we go. Oh, shit. What is even happening right now? This isn't good. Why does it look like that? What has changed? What have I done? What have I done wrong? I don't know. But I will try and sort it for you. Just give me one moment of your time. this is not set up correctly. Oh, hang on a second. Okay, listen, I'm just going to knock this off for a moment while I get this positioned correctly. In the meantime, if you've got nothing better to do, you give us a like or subscribe or whatever. That'd be cool. Let me just see if I can sort this motherfucking thing out. No, that's not it. Sorry about this, everyone. I think I may have accidentally deleted the thing that was set up for the papers. So that sucks, doesn't it? Sorry about this, everyone. One day when I have an editor to do my shit for me, that'll be awesome. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. It looks like the frame has disappeared as well behind it. You used to have a frame. Where's my frame gone? Yeah. Okay, so if I just put that there like that, oh, it looks about right. So you just amuse yourselves, everyone, while I'm doing this. I've just got to lop a bit off the top. There we go. Close. Oh, okay, that doesn't look amazing, but it looks okay. It looks okay. Let's bring that on. Okay, here we go. Bring it on, baby. Bring it on. Financial Times, first of all. We've got investors. We've got the Bondi killings, obviously. And then we've got investors seek protection as fears of AI meltdown test Wall Street's nerves. Credit default swap surge. Bond deals stir unease. Meta issue raises alarm and concern for Oracle. This is all about, unsurprisingly, sorry, that stupid animation keeps going on. This is all about the fact that a lot of people, not just me, who are convinced that the dot-com bubble is about to burst imminently and it's going to be catastrophic for the US economy, but also it's going to have a knock-on effect to economies all over the world. There's Macado, who is the the opposition leader in Venezuela, who just won the Nobel Peace Prize. Machado. She's decided to team up with Donald Trump to try and get rid of Maduro. But I just, the rhetoric we're seeing, and we'll talk about this more in stateside tonight. It's straight from the early 2000s. Those of you old enough to remember the run up to the Iraq War, they're using the same rhetoric, they're using the same words. Fucking crazy. Kyiv offers to drop NATO membership call if US and Europe ensure security. Volodymyr Zelensky said he is ready to give up on demands for NATO membership in exchange for security guarantees from US and Europe in a bid to make progress in peace talks, which will be held in Berlin this week. Okay. And then we've got the briefing here. Hedge funds pile into commodities markets. Trading firms and funds have jumped into markets for physical commodities in search of new sources of returns, despite lacking decades of experience and information accumulated by established players. US student loan stress. More than 9 million loan holders have missed at least one payment this year. That's not good. VW calls Dresden halt. Volkswagen will stop making vehicles in Dresden this week, marking the first time in the car maker's 88-year history that it will close a production plant in Germany. Tehran raises petrol price, curbs on China goods. Shinzai revival hopes. This is Shinzai Bank, once a symbol of Japan's 1990s asset bubble, is set to become one of the country's largest initial public offerings this year. So you'll be able to buy a share in Shinsei, or Shinsei, I should say. And college sports shake-up. The Big 12 Conference, an alliance of elite sports colleges, is finalizing a tie-up with Redbird Capital Partners. Yay! Obviously, they cover the Bondi Beach attack in all the other papers. We've got this gunman kill, at least 15 during Jewish festival. And it's got the hero Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who attacked who grappled the gun. As you can see here in the footage, he grappled the gun off one of the attackers. and he was shot twice in the arm and the hand. And he's covered in the eye paper here, the hero of Bondi Beach and bloodbath. Father and son terrorists kill 15 in attack on Jewish community. There's a picture of the attacker there, a guy called Navid Akram, who just, the deaths included a British-born rabbi, a 10-year-old girl, and also an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor. And this was on the first day of the. This was on the first day of Hanukkah, which is the festival of light, the celebration that Jewish people have around Christmas time. It's just really sad. It's really, really grotesque. The Daily Mail leads obviously with the Bondi Beach massacre, hero of Bondi, hero of Bondi Beach, hate and heroism on Bondi. Jews like me have been warning about an attack such like this for years, says Lord Wolfston. Now, look, I did a whole show last year about how, or maybe earlier this year, about how Benjamin Netanyahu is making it more likely that anti-Semitic attacks will happen. And we saw this in Manchester a couple of months ago, and now we're seeing it again in Australia. Netanyahu has made life for my Jewish friends more difficult by his politics of let's fuck up Gaza, so he doesn't actually go to jail for the crimes that he's committed. Really, really grim. So yeah, well, I'm just having a look to see if there's anything interesting in the Telegraph that needs pointing out. But the Daily Express has the hero of Bondi Beach. The Metro also has the hero of the Bondi Beach massacre. At least 16 dead in terror attack at Jewish festival. And then we've got an act of evil, and this was the rabbi who was killed, Eli Schlanger, and the Ahmed El Ahmed who tackled one of the attackers and took the gun off him in a bit of heroism that was just mind blowing. Worth noting that the guns owned by the father, he had 6 guns and he had the license for them. That's not going to happen anymore in Australia, because Australia care about its citizens a lot more than America cares about its citizens. America just seems to think that if one of its citizens dies in a violent way, that's okay, that's cool, so long as the arms companies continue to make massive profits. In Australia, I guarantee it'll go the other way. After the Port Arthur massacre in the mid-90s, which happened just quite around the same time as the Dunblane massacre in the UK, which led to handguns being banned in the UK and led to lots of restrictions on who can have firearms. The same thing happened in Australia at Port Arthur, 35 people massacred. And after that, there was no stomach for allowing dickheads to have fucking guns. They tightened up the regulations a lot, and I think that's going to happen again now. In 30 years later, I think the same thing's going to happen. They're going to tighten it up even more. You're going to be allowed to have one gun, and you've got to have your name on every fucking bullet, and it needs to be something that the police can deactivate. You have to. Any guns has to be a smart gun with the same operating system as a phone. Not the same, but similar, so the police can deactivate the gun from a distance. It has to give off a signal where it is at all times. It has to grass on its owner. It can only be used by the person who owns it. Like my phone, it can only be used by me. Press the thing on the front, that has my thumbprint, and that's not my thumb, is it? My thumbprint, and only I can use my phone. You can have that on the handle of a gun, so it can't be shot except by the person who owns it. The technology is there. The technology has been there for years. Make it law. Make it absolute law. And then people who want to have their guns for hunting and have their guns for target practice or whatever the fuck people say that they want their guns for, can have the guns. But if they do anything with it, like try and take a life, take a human life, it stops working. Even better. How about if a gun is used to take a human life, it fucking self-destructs? The technology's there. It's not like we can't do this. But yeah, really, really grim news from Australia yesterday, and then woke up again this morning to really grim news that Rob Reiner, one of my favorite directors in Hollywood, was murdered. Murdered, him and his wife, murdered, stabbed to death in their own home by their son. By their son, who's had periods of drug addiction and homelessness, and obviously had mental health issues. Just goes to show, like, money doesn't bring happiness or sanity. They should just copy our gun laws. Smart guns and the rest are very complex and expensive. Control, reloading, and ammunition supply. Why would smart guns be expensive for me? I'm not gonna buy one. We got a smartphone now. You can buy one for 50 quid. If it didn't let you make phone calls or go on the internet, and all it had as the technology on it was the fucking thumbprint scanner and the fact that it told the authorities where you were so they could deactivate your gun, where'd you have it? And as I said the other day, I think you should have it in cars. Motorbikes. Have it on fucking those e-scooters. Just be deactivated. The police want you to pull over, they can force you to pull over. That's it. And yes, the police are problematic. I get that. But do you know what's more problematic? Someone driving 120 miles an hour through our fucking village and smashing into someone's wall of their house and crushing them to death with bricks in their own fucking living room. Yeah, that's a bit more problematic. Yuri says, money doesn't buy you happiness, just a better class of misery. But yeah, I don't give a fuck if somebody wants a gun, has to spend £1,000 more on a gun because it's a smart gun. Yeah, good. Fucking spend it. If you got the money to waste on this on a death machine, then fine. A murder toy. I don't care. You don't actually need these things. What do people in Britain need fucking guns for? We don't have any bears. Can't even have that excuse. Oh, I need a gun. What? To shoot the fucking badgers? There's a lot of badger attacks, are there? Is that the big problem? Oh yeah, but we need to be no, right? You got a problem and you need someone to be shot for some fucking reason. You dial up fucking Rent-A-Kill and they've got a special license to have special fucking darts that can be fired from a gun that can kill whatever you need to be killed. Build a better fence, fuck's sake. You used to be able to go to Walmart in the US and help yourself to ammo and yeah, booze and cigs were locked up. Yep, still the case in some states. You could build a gun. The ammo is more difficult. Yeah, smart ammo. That's fine. Make it really difficult to buy ammo. Make it so you have a quota of bullets that you can use and make them self-destruct after a month if you don't use them, so you can't stockpile them, motherfuckers. You can bring in these rules. You can do it. If you're the government, you can just say this is the rule. If you have a gun in the UK, you've got to follow these rules. It's got to be a smart gun. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. Or it's got to be put beyond use. If you want to have a shotgun on top of the, mounted in the bar, it's got to not fucking work. I have a secure USB stick that needs my thumbprint. No longer recognizes my thumb and wants a password I set up 8 years ago. Can't remember it. Shit, Martin. That sucks, mate. That sucks. Simon says, I read that one. I think you're missing messages. Make sure the chat is set to all. If you think you're missing some messages, make sure the chat is set to all messages. Yeah. Because this is the live chat. There's live chat. There's top chat. Sorry. There's top chat and live chat. Top chat. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Close friends get to call him TC. Although in the UK it was called Boss Cat because there was a cat food company called Top Cat. So they changed the name of the show to Boss Cat, but the theme tune still sang Top Cat, and they still called him TC. One of the things I don't get, like I really don't get, right? Why is Zootopia called Zootropolis in the UK? Can someone explain this to me? Zootopia is a really great pun because it sounds like utopia. But there is no word that is eutropolis. So putting zoo at the beginning of metropolis is just weird. If it was catropolis, maybe petropolis. There you go. Done it for you. Petropolis would just about work if you squint. Why is it? Does anyone know why it's called Zootropolis in the UK, but everywhere else it's called? Would you like to know why Moana is not called Moana in Italy? Does anyone want to know? It's called Vienna. I'm just checking that. It's called Vienna. Does anyone know why Moana, Disney's Moana, is called Vienna in Italy? If someone knows this, I'll fucking love it. Please, please, don't claim it. Don't claim it. Don't claim it unless it's correct. But yeah, why does Moana have a different name in Italy? In fact, I watched Moana for the first time on a flight across the Atlantic on either KLM or Air France or something, and on the screen it came up as Vienna, which made no sense because all through the film they called her Moana. Best guess is Moana is a rude word in Italian. No, it's better than that. It's it is rude, but for a different reason. It's not a rude word. It's a name. It's a name of someone. Why would a name be problematic for a Disney princess? Genitalia, says Andrew. No, it's not a name for genitalia. It's a name. It's a proper name in Italian. Moana is a name in Italian. But there was yes, Yuri's got it. Wasn't the name Moana the name of a porn star in Italy? Yeah, Moana Pozzi was a porn star in Italy. She died in the early 90s, but she was a really famous porn star. So in Italy, she was just known as Moana. So when you talk to an Italian and you say Moana, they don't think of Polynesian girl going on adventures with Maui. They think of a porn star. So yeah, Disney had to change the name of their movie in Italy because they didn't want to make a porn star a Disney princess. Pussy Galore wasn't problematic. Yeah. Moana Pozzi says Sarah. Yeah, that's right. Martin says, Nick, my passwords are all derived from the same thing. I've tried as many as I can remember. I've got one attempt left and saving it for the day I wake up having a dream after having a dream about it. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Zootopia, Zootropolis is due again to copyright issue with a Danish zoo, according to the interweb. Well, there you go. Well, we find out stuff all the. I wish there was some way of just finding this stuff out, like by typing it into the internet. Like if it was Lovelace. That's kind of problematic, isn't it, Ernie? Because Ada Lovelace was one of the pioneers of programming in this country, and she worked with Charles Babbage on his Different Engine or whatever it was called, and she did the programming for it, didn't she? But unfortunately, yeah, her surname is forever going to be synonymous with porn. What a way to go. The official reason is Zootropolis is that Disney wants to have a unique name in certain markets. Like the Zooniverse on the Bush, the mighty Bush. Yeah, indeed. Okay, my friends, I'm going to call it a morning. So you can go and listen to James O'Brien if you want. See, what's good is you can listen to me babbling on, right? And there's no adverts. We don't stop to have the fag breaks or cigarette breaks. Oh shit, just demonetized the video for sure. Cigarettes. We don't stop for a cigarette break. We don't stop for the news and adverts and all that kind of shit. But then what you can do after listening to me rabbit on is you can listen to James O'Brien on Catch Up, and then you can skip the adverts. You can skip the moronic callers who don't add anything to the conversation. You can skip all of the news and just and you can watch. You can listen to the whole show instead of wasting 3 hours of your life. You can just waste, I don't know, an hour and a half. I'm actually doing you a favor, really, if you think about it. I love the fact that when I started doing the morning brews for an hour, I just thought, How the fuck am I going to find things to talk about for an hour every morning? I hope when I start taking my ADHD medication later this week, it doesn't all fucking fall down like a house of cards, and I'm sitting here going, I don't know what to talk about. I just got no opinion on these things. I've got no strong opinions on this either way. Must be the medication. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate the civility of the chat and just how nice everyone is to each other. And coming up to Christmas and everything, I do want to make an offer to anyone who's not a member of the channel but would like access to our Discord, our Politics Social Discord. Get in touch with me at grahamdavidhughes.com and I'll sort it out. If you're a regular, if I've never heard of you, I'm not going to send you anything. But if you're a regular in the chat and I've seen your name before, let me know and I'll send you a link so you can join in with everybody else. So you can continue the conversation. There is a thing in there as well for mental health support. If you want to talk about what you're going through and get some support there from your peers, which I find really helpful and something that I hope that you'll be able to use if you need to. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but in the description of all these videos is the number for the Samaritans. If you just need someone to talk to, especially this time of year, please make use of that. It is a service that is there for everybody. And don't feel guilty, don't feel bad about using this stuff because you need to come first. Yeah, you can't help anybody else. And I know that everyone in the chat here wants to help society. They want to help their friends. They want to help their neighbors. They want to help, all the people in this world who are nice and decent and civilized, which is the majority of people. But you can't help any of them until you make sure that you're okay first. You got to put the mask on yourself before you put it on the person sitting next to you. Okay. So yeah, take care of yourselves and each other. Bit of a cliche, but thanks for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Really appreciate it. You keep the channel going. I'll be back tonight with birthday boy Scott Williams at 9 o'clock for a bit of stateside, in which we try to talk about American politics, but end up talking about anything but usually. So please join us for that, because politics is fucking bollocks at the moment, isn't it? So we just need this to kind of keep ourselves in some kind of region of sanity, I think. But until next time, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to give us a like on the way out. We really appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And if you've got a mate who you think might like this, but get them to join and subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and all that shit. It really does help. It really does help us out. And it's Christmas, so you want to do nice things at Christmas, right? So until next time, thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.